Could the return of Donald Trump to the White House mean a radical shift in America's defense strategies? What if the military's role changed not just abroad but at home as well? And how would the dynamics of global power play out if the United States refocused its forces? Today, we're diving into the powerful implications of a possible Trump second term on U.S. defense policies, a potential turning point that could impact national and international security for decades. Get ready for a detailed look at what's at stake for America's armed forces and global influence. In 2024, Donald Trump has promised a hardline approach that will challenge the status quo. His plans for the military go beyond what we've traditionally seen, including unprecedented domestic deployments, reallocations of forces abroad, and escalated actions against criminal organizations at the U.S.-Mexico border. These policies, known under his platform, Agenda 47, raise questions about America's global role and the purpose of its military, stirring both hope among his supporters and concerns among military experts and civil rights advocates. Trump's military proposals for 2024 suggest a focus on homeland missions. Unlike traditional deployments overseas, his vision involves utilizing military forces domestically to counter threats he defines as from within, a concept he's emphasized in recent speeches. According to Trump, this includes a crackdown on organized crime, especially drug cartels, which he intends to treat as foreign terrorist organizations to justify a heavy military hand. This could mean using the Navy in a blockade to curb the flow of drugs and deploying troops domestically to assist in high-profile immigration control measures. If executed, this shift would place military resources and personnel, traditionally focused on international security, directly into U.S. cities and border regions. However, there are significant legal and logistical challenges. Under current laws, domestic military involvement is limited by the Posse Comitatus Act, which restricts federal troops' role in civilian law enforcement. Trump's plan would require extensive support from Congress, which could be contentious. On the foreign front, Trump has consistently advocated for an America First approach. If re-elected, he plans to bring troops stationed abroad back to American soil to strengthen borders and reduce overseas commitments, especially in Europe and the Middle East. This reallocation would not only affect America's relationship with allies, like NATO members, but also give rivals like China and Russia more room to maneuver geopolitically. Reducing military support in these regions could lead to regional instability, weakening alliances, and potentially diminishing the U.S.'s global influence. For instance, moving forces away from Eastern Europe could shift the balance of power in favor of Russia, a nation that has been emboldened in recent years. On the other hand, advocates argue this strategy will cut military costs and allow the U.S. to focus on domestic issues. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of Trump's defense plan is his approach to immigration and drug enforcement. In his speeches, Trump has promised a militarized strategy to tackle illegal immigration and drug trafficking by designating Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. This designation would allow for expanded military operations, potentially even involving the National Guard to halt drug smuggling routes and secure the border. The idea has sparked debates within political and military circles. Advocates argue that it's necessary to address the opioid crisis and stem the flow of illegal drugs. However, critics fear this approach will damage diplomatic relations with Mexico and set a dangerous precedent by involving the military in domestic law enforcement. Mexico's government has already expressed concerns, calling for a cooperative, rather than confrontational, approach. The potential return of Trump's presidency poses a dilemma for the U.S. military's future. With a shift from global deployments to domestic priorities, Trump's policies could change the perception of the U.S. as the world's policeman. This could be favorable for an American public wary of endless foreign conflicts, but risky in terms of global stability. The question remains, will the U.S. be prepared to defend its allies and interests overseas if its resources and personnel are concentrated within its borders? Trump's defense plans are not without opposition within the U.S. armed forces and Congress. Traditional military proponents argue that diminishing overseas commitments weakens the country's deterrence capabilities, emboldening hostile nations. Yet Trump's supporters in Congress claim that a recalibrated, America-focused military will be stronger, with better resources for training and equipment, and more prepared for any direct threats against the homeland. So, what would a second Trump administration mean for the US military, and by extension, for global stability? Would a more isolationist stance strengthen or weaken America's position on the world stage? As Trump's vision unfolds, it's clear that his policies could redefine the future of American defense. Now it's your turn. Do you think America should bring its troops home and focus on domestic challenges or continue its global presence? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more in-depth discussions on the policies shaping our world.